Yeah, yeah, it's on the website. Yeah.
Hello.
We'll go ahead and begin. I'd like to recognize Pastor Jonathan Kelly for the invocation, and I'll lead the pledge. All rise.
Let us pray. Almighty God and everlasting Father, we are grateful to have the opportunity to bow before you in prayer. I want to pray specifically tonight for our city of Hot Springs. Lord, we are grateful to look at the creation that is around us, mountains and lakes and rivers, trails, and we are reminded of your hand and how it has fashioned creation. And that creation can remind us of your goodness. Lord, we pray for those in our community who right now is a struggle. It could be a struggle with a job or struggles with children or children struggling at home or at school. And we pray that your kindness and mercy would find them tonight. For these in this room that are making decisions, for planning, for discussing for the future of our community, grant them the wisdom that comes from you, that they would envision and find a future where all can flourish. We pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now call this meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Director Aaron Holliday. Here. Director Phyllis Beard.
Present.
Director Marcia Dobbs-Smith.
Here.
Director Dudley Webb.
Here.
Director Karen Garcia.
Here.
Director Steve Trusty.
Here.
Mayor Pat McCabe.
Here. At this time, we'll consider the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda or items to be moved from consent to new business? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Director Trustee, seconded by Director Garcia. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Agenda is approved. Consider approval of the minutes of our regularly scheduled meeting of December 19th, 2023. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Director Webb, seconded by
Second.
Director Dobbs-Smith. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Recognition of guests. Do any directors have guests that you'd like to point out and recognize? Each and every one of you here are our guests, and we appreciate you coming out this rainy evening. City Manager's Report. Mr. Bill Burrow.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got really several things to talk about this evening. First, I want to start off just by thanking all of our employees that were working through this last round of winter weather that we had. Really want to key in on those in our utilities, our solid waste, and our public works. Public works staff started Sunday evening and actually ran 12-hour shifts for the next 5 days. I think they stopped somewhere Saturday evening. So really pleased with the efforts they did. We just about ran out of product on this one. We've got enough storage of salt and sand to last a little over a week, but we've got some additional coming. I'm sure this may not be the only event we have, but really appreciate their efforts. On the utility side, we experienced quite a few main breaks and service interruptions. Nothing like we experienced in 2021. But you know, these fine employees were out there working, whether it was wastewater or water, down in those pits. You know, changing out water and water blowing on you while it was that cold. It's amazing what these guys are able to do in those type of conditions. We had a little over 60 issues with lift stations that they responded to. We had about 10 calls for service lines that lead into the curb. Davidson Drive, which is our wastewater treatment plant, we had different pieces of equipment that froze, and a couple of them actually broke from the temperatures. Our polymer line froze, broken water line in our boiler in our admin building. There were about 31 million gallons a day in excess flow during that time as we saw the snow and rain and so forth. Water distribution, we had 6 water main breaks, 3 service line repairs, and we shut off 110 homes that had broken pipes. Up at the production group, we're on emergency power generation for 12 hours. We test that generator every week, and fortunately it did its job for us this go around. It uses about 200 gallons of fuel an hour. So, you know, when we have inclement weather and these kind of conditions, it's important. I think we actually sent one of our trucks out to out to Cozy Acres Road to be able to get a fuel truck up there. But it's amazing what these guys do. When you talk about a couple of our gentlemen that are in charge of that water production, we kind of see water production and water distribution come together as one team when we have these kind of events. They're communicating with people in the field, moving valves, turning valves off in certain areas to push water from one tank to the other. It's the first time in the last several months where we actually had to operate the plant at full capacity. We had a 10-inch major water main burst at our Lakeside Water Treatment Plant. But all of those that worked at one point during the distribution office with our production distribution guys, and they're kind of triaging these breaks. They worked 30+ straight hours, never left, and just continued to monitor tank levels, because we can do that from a system through our SCADA, and they know where they need to push water from one to the other to make sure all of our residents don't fall into what other areas have experienced. And we haven't ran out of water, and you know, at this point we had no residents or boil orders or any of that, and it's based on the efforts of these gentlemen. So that took a minute, but really wanted to call them out. And then solid waste, those employees weren't able to run for several days. They're out there in the rain this week, picking up really twice the amount of refuse as they normally would. It's a very taxing week for them, and just appreciate all of those in the field that have, and I'm probably leaving some out, our public safety. Just appreciate all of the employees when it comes to issues like this. We kind of take it for granted sometimes, but seeing what these employees do to keep our city running in times of an emergency just really makes me proud to be part of this team, and being able to have these kind of efforts that I think are wins for our community. Paving program, we're still working on our 2023 paving program. It's about 60% complete. That's going to roll over into 2024. We're going to continue to work. As you know, we've got about $6 million additional dollars in our 2024 budget. So rolling that over, we're probably going to do about $8.5 million in paving this year. And we're working on getting the 2024 list compiled so we can get it to you for approval and get that bid out. We're probably looking at some time frames in there that we'll do in this particular bid to make sure that we're able to get those completed in 24. Whittington Avenue is a federal lands accessibility flap grant. I want to update the board on that. It aims to improve accessibility from Whittington Valley neighborhood to the Hot Springs National Park. The accessibility improvements include sidewalks, ADA accessible ramps, marked crosswalks, bicycle lanes, multi-use trails, some intersection improvements, rain gardens for stormwater management. That's about 75% complete. If you drive around there, you're really starting to see that come to fruition. Parks and trails, new playground equipment coming for Family Park. This is going to be something that we haven't had in any of our other parks, and I think it's going to be real popular. It's 2 52-foot long rail riders, which is a gravity-fed rail, kind of like a zip line, playground equipment. One is a traditional seat, while the other includes an ADA-compliant chair for individuals that can be buckled in and be able to ride that particular ride. The new amenity is 100% funded by Friends of the Park and by a donation from the Art Merkel family. Depending on whether this amenity should be installed by the end of the month. I think that's going to bring a lot of fun for a lot of kids that enjoy our parks. have 2 retirements, and that's something I'm going to try to do as we move forward, is recognize those that have had a lot of service within our city that are retiring. On December 29th, our AutoCAD drafter, John Lewis, retired after 23 years of service. Whenever somebody calls me and we're dealing with street lights, or Gary's working on a project where he has to have drawings for trails, it's John that did those efforts. Been with us a long time. Appreciate his service, as well as Travis Pascal. He retired from animal control. He was an animal control officer with 21 years of service. So we're going to miss Travis. He was really a big part of that team. Speaking of animal services, on the 2023 end of the year stats, on Thursday, December 4th, Lieutenant Zahner, Director of Animal Service, posted the results of their hard work throughout the year. They've made a tremendous amount of improvements out there over the course of the last few years. Animal Services took in 2,221 dogs and cats into the shelter.
Wow.
They adopted out 1,407 rescued animals. These are adopted by rescue organizations somewhere else. We had 306 go through that chain. And reclaimed 241 animals for an 87.9% save rate for the year. So really remarkable numbers in being able to get that accomplished. Mayor, I think I'll end there and be glad to answer any questions that the board might have.
Any questions of our city manager? Thank you very much. Board of Directors announcements regarding upcoming events. We have upcoming events to be announced. Director Beard.
I was looking at Director Garcia and you were looking at me. So I get to go first today. Exciting.
You don't have an upcoming event?
I do.
Okay.
Here we are. We have Saturday, January 27th from 10 to 1. That's Food for Thought, and it's a parking lot corner of Church Street in Malvern. And the Giving Team provides monthly food, nutrition, and resources for individuals in Hot Springs. And for more information, go to givingteaminc.org.
Very good. Thank you. Director Dobbs Smith.
I have one. Thank you very much, Mayor. I have one for the Hot Springs Jazz Society. They're having their annual Party Gras. It's this Friday. It's going to be held this year at the Vapors. You can get tickets at thevapors.org. It's a fun party, and the money goes to benefit, to support the high school students' tuition to jazz camp. So all of that money goes to the jazz camp. It's always fun. There are a lot of people who go all out crazy with the costumes, and a lot of people just show up in after 5 attire. But it's a good time. Call up the Vapors or go to vapors.com, and you can find where your tickets. Thank you.
Very good. Director Holliday, do you have an upcoming event?
I do. I figured you'd go to
Thought I'd just
Director
keep looking to
Garcia.
my left.
She can have the last word. It's okay.
She's ready.
She is ready. She's always ready. I do. I have a really cool event. The annual Birth of an Artist event is coming up on Saturday, January 27th, from 5 to 7. It'll be at Whittington Place, which is at 301 Whittington. And the Birth of an Artist fundraiser supports the Cutwell for Kids organization, which was founded by Anthony Tidwell and provides free art classes throughout the summer to kids all across our community. So the fundraiser, you can buy kids art, you can buy some art by professional artists as well. There will be jazz, entertainment, refreshments, beer and wine by donation, and like I said, lots of artwork for sale by the kids who benefit from that program. So again, Saturday, January 27th from 5 to 7 at Whittington Place, 301 Whittington.
Very good.
Thank
Thank you. Director Webb, you have anything?
I almost want to just pass these honors to Director Garcia, but I appreciate you calling on me. Mayor, I've got 3, actually. The first is the 3rd annual Dugan Invitational College Baseball Tournament. That's Thursday, February 1st through Sunday. February 4th, Majestic Baseball Park at 105 West Belding Street. 8 teams from 3 collegiate conferences will compete. And for more information, you can visit the Majestic Park website, which is majesticpark.org. The second event is the Ronnie Hawkins Mike McGee Memorial College Fast Pitch Tournament. This too is taking place at Majestic Baseball Park at 105 West Belding. It's Thursday, again, February 1st through Sunday, February 4th. So same time frame as the Dugan Invitational. Teams from Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri will compete. And again, for more information on that, again, you can go to the Majestic Park website, which is majesticpark.org. The third event that I have is District 4 Town Hall and quarterly meeting that I myself am hosting. That's coming up this Thursday, January 25th at 5:30 p.m. It will be at Oaklawn United Methodist Church, which is at 216 Higdon Ferry here in Hot Springs. There'll be food, refreshments, fellowship, guest speakers to include the City of Hot Springs' very own Monty Ledbetter. And also an open forum. This town hall, like all of the quarterly town halls that I do, is open to the public. So I want to invite you, your family, your friends, your neighbors, just bring the whole gang. Thank you.
Very good. Director Trustee.
Thank you, Mayor. We have International Lego Day with the Arkansas Lego Users Group. That's this coming Sunday, January 28th, from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Garland County Library, of course, out on Malvern Avenue. There is no admission, no registration is required. All ages are welcome to participate. And there will be a Lego display built by the Arkansas Lego Users Group and free build contests for different age groups. So that's this coming Sunday, the 28th of January from 1 to 6. Second event is the US 97 Home and Outdoor Show for 2024. That's coming up Friday, February 2nd and Saturday, February 3rd. It's from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. across the street at the Hot Springs Convention Center, 134 Convention Boulevard. And for more information on that, visit the US 97 website.
Very
Thank you,
good.
sir.
Thank you very much. Our next agenda item will be the consent.
Mayor,
Oh, Director Garcia. I'm sorry. Yes, please.
I wanted to ask the city attorney, I think that we need to review the protocol for being recognized in our procedures next time we have our work session.
We'll do that in 20 years.
And
That will be an upcoming event.
yes, that's an upcoming event that we need to include in finishing that process up. But I understand now we're in your favorite season, Mayor. You know what that is. It's tax season. And the income taxes for everyone has to be filed by April 15th. Well, the AARP Foundation is providing tax aid at the Garland County Library beginning February 1st and will continue through April 15th to assist in preparation of your income taxes. They will be there Monday through Friday, 8:30 till noon. And on not every Saturday, but every other Saturday beginning on the 3rd. So you can get some appointments on Saturdays if needed, but otherwise it's first come, first serve. Do not ask the library tax questions. They are providing the space, but trained IRS certified volunteers provided by AARP will be there to assist people with filing their tax returns. And secondly, the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, known as LIHEAP, is now open and will be open to provide assistance to low-income homes through April 30th, as long as funds are available. This provides assistance with gas utilities and electric utilities. if you or you know someone that needs assistance, if you're a landlord and your rent includes those utilities either, then you can tell your people renting about this, because this service, they would need a copy of their rental agreement or a memo from the landlord that those utilities are included with their rent, where they could get assistance for that. And the CSO office here in Hot Springs manages that, and that's where you go to get your assistance. And you can check with their website for csoark.org, and it's the utility assistance that they have through them, and they have staff there daily to help during the hours that they're open through April 30th. Thank you, Mayor
Is
and
that all,
Board.
Director?
Would you like anything else?
We
That
have-
was what I had planned to announce.
Thank you. So, we have I didn't count the number of items that were mentioned, but I think with 6 of you, I think we probably totaled close to 15 items. So we have a varied number of activities for the public to be involved in and to participate in, all the way from ball games to art and everything in between. So thank you very much for bringing those items forward. Now we'll move on to the consent agenda. These are of routine nature that do not merit individual discussion. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. So moved. Director Garcia, seconded by Director Trustee. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. Consent agenda is adopted. The remaining business items, are all ordinances, and we'll begin with ordinance O-24-01, and I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Director Dobb Smith, seconded by
Second.
Director Trustee. We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title only, signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries.
Ordinance O-24-01, an ordinance waiving the requirement of competitive bidding for and approving the procurement of a Tiger AR-12 Wildcat boom mower from Little Rock Equipment Sales, Inc. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director
Second.
Trustee, seconded by Director Garcia. And our staff report will be provided by Ron for Public Service Director. Welcome, Ron.
Good evening. This is an attachment that'll be mounted on the tractor that was approved through consent agenda. Staff has been using this type of equipment for over 20 years. It's very reliable, it's very efficient, they're familiar with the controls. Also, Little Rock Sales and Service is the only authorized dealer for this product in the state of Arkansas.
Any questions of Ron? Hearing none, thank you. Have any public to sign up to speak?
No, sir.
Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Dobb Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. Now we'll move on to ordinance O-24-02, and I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Director Webb.
Second.
Director Garcia made the second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Please read by title.
Ordinance O-24-02, an ordinance amending ordinance number 6469 and authorizing a 2024 contract for services with High Impact Movement, Inc. pursuant to Arkansas Code annotated section 14-58-104, paragraph 18, and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Webb, seconded by
Second.
Director Garcia. And our staff report will be provided by Deputy City Manager
Pardon me, Mayor.
Lance.
Sorry. I need to recuse myself
Oh, I'm
from
sorry.
this item, please. Thank you.
On this item? Okay. Thank you. Mr. Spicer will provide the staff report.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mayor, board members. This item comes to you as a request to extend a current agreement. If the board recalls, we have a current agreement with the High Impact Movement, referred to as HIM. The current agreement that was that we're operating under was approved back in July of 2023. And what we're bringing before you this evening is essentially a funding increase that was approved as part of the 2024 budget. So it's a $25,000 increase. Current agreement has $100,000 in it. So for 2024, the approval is for $125,000 funding amount. And additionally, what we're doing is, I don't know if you remember in years past, we kind of had a half year within the contract. It would run from July until the following August. What this is, this runs on a calendar year, keeps it on our fiscal year. HIM, additionally, they do operate on a calendar fiscal year as well. So really, there's some technical changes, but they're important changes to be made. The one point to make, though, the $125,000 funding amount, we did have a January payment that was due to HIM. So the funding amount in the agreement was $125,000. It will be actually $115,715 as part of the contract. But city has contracted with HIM since 2021, and we're satisfied with the services that HIM provides. Obviously, it is a much-needed program for kindergarten through 12th grade students. It's after school. It is a summer program as well. I think they do a tremendous job with the students that they have. They operate out of the former Boys and Girls Club, which is I believe it's called the Champion Center now. They're on Belding Street. Additionally, they do lease some space from the A&P Commission. They're on the corner of Carson Street for the program as well. But I do know we do have representatives from HIM, the executive director, that we do have some board members and staff here as well if you have any direct questions for them. But that'll conclude the presentation. But obviously, we do wish to extend the current agreement with HIM and authorize that funding increase that was part of the 2024 budget. Thank you.
Do we have any questions of Mr. Spitzer from the board? Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody signed up to speak?
No, sir.
Any discussions amongst staff, or amongst directors, or do the directors have questions of any representative from High Impact?
I called a question.
Okay, call the roll.
All right. The record will reflect the recusal of Director Holliday. Director Beard?
Aye.
Dobbs Smith?
Aye.
Webb?
Aye.
Garcia?
Aye.
Trustee?
Aye.
Mayor McCabe?
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. We'll move on to ordinance O-24-03, and I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules to read by title only.
So moved.
Director Trustee,
Second.
seconded by Director Garcia. All in favor of the motion, second to suspend the rules and read by title, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Please read by title.
Ordinance O-24-03, an ordinance amending the zoning map to CTR Commercial Transitional Zone District for 0.172 acre, generally located at 117 Alpine Street, and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Dobbs Smith, seconded by
Second.
Director Holliday. And our staff report will be provided by Planning and Development Director Kathy Selman. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. This project is requested by Danny Blair, representing property owner Roadside Properties, LLC. And it is a request for CTR, Commercial Transitional Zoning, on land approximately 117 Alpine Street, which is currently zoned R4. The property has 60 feet of frontage on Alpine Street. Surrounding property zoning is as follows. On to the north, CTR and R3 low-density, low-medium density residential. To the east is C4, Regional Commercial Open Display District. To the south is C4, Regional Commercial Open Display District, and some R3. And to the west is CTR Commercial Transitional. The surrounding land uses are parking lot, Oaklawn Methodist Church, and Crossroads Realty Group. The subject property has a future land use classification of residential medium high, which is not compatible with the requested CTR zoning. Adjacent CTR zone properties have the future land use designation of commercial enclave. Planning Commission at their duly advertised, regularly scheduled December 14, 23 meeting, after calling for testimony and considering the record, voted 8-0 to recommend that the Board of Directors adopt an ordinance to amend the zoning map by designating the subject property CTR Commercial Transitional, and to amend the future land use plan map to Commercial Enclave, because the Planning Commission made a specific finding that the changes demonstrate compatibility with surrounding development and zoning, and would be consistent with the objectives of the zoning code as required by Hot Springs Code Section 16 to 11E.
Any questions of Ms. Selman? Director Garcia?
Do you know the purpose for the request and the zoning change?
I know only that it is for a use that would be allowed in the CTR zone district.
But not in residential?
I don't know any more than I told you. We do not
Okay.
require
I
a use to be
understand.
designated.
I didn't know if the applicant had, I didn't find it anywhere, but I didn't know
No.
if they had mentioned it. Okay. But thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. If there's no further questions for Ms. Selman, did we have any, Director Garcia, you have a question?
Yes, I had some comments because I understand that technically the findings in meeting the request were technically evaluated correctly. However, the Board of Directors has a goal for meeting and finding ways to have more workforce housing and housing available. And we have a consultant that's working on our updates for codes that's recommended different areas that we look at to improve, modify some of our zoning codes and codes to provide more opportunities for housing, whether it's regarding setbacks or size of lots, et cetera. At the recent National League of Cities conference, there was quite a bit of discussion on this about how providing incentives and working with developers on workforce housing, but also for cities to look at their codes of how we may work those to also help increase workforce housing and affordable housing. So my concern is, as it was mentioned on East and going back down the street, that it is residential. And looking at this property, it appears it would be a good property for a R4 or one of our new codes when that's adopted for smaller housing, duplex or something of that nature. It's within walking distance to the bus stop or to other employers in that area, such as Oaklawn, the grocery stores and other stores and restaurants that hire in that area. So my concern is if we take actions, if we have a goal for getting more housing in our city available for people to live in the city and particularly looking for lower income housing and workforce housing, and we take actions that take away, that appears that would take away from that goal, are we contradicting ourselves? And so I have a concern of taking away residential property to take it out of potentially being developed residential to the CTR. And I know each case is different, but there is rental properties in this area and housing, residential housing there that I would like to see it develop that way. And I have a conflict in voting for something that goes against our board goal.
Any other comments, Director Webb?
This may be more of a question for Director Selman, and it comes after listening to Director Garcia share with the board her concerns. But as far as commercial transitional C-TR, would that eliminate any opportunity for residential purposes altogether, or could CTR essentially be residential / commercial?
Well, that's an interesting question because CTR is primarily a residential zone district. The uses that would be non-residential in the CTR zone district typically require planning commission approval as conditional uses.
So based on your response to that question, even if the zoning were changed to C-TR, somebody still could live there and consider that a residence?
They could.
Or this could be commercial? Would that just fall upon the desire of the property owner?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
With planning commission approval, commercial or non-residential use is possible there with CTR.
Because their plans would have to, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Director Garcia?
Their plan, any building, their plans would, if it's CTR. But how many requests for CTR then are developed for residential? The reason that most of them, is my understanding, request that because they want to be able to do something other than residential.
That is often the case.
Most of the time, or all the time, I'd say at least 99.9%.
I wouldn't go that far, but yeah.
Okay.
I have a question.
Director Trustee?
Thank you, Mayor. Kathy, this use, if it changes from what it is now, it will have to come back to the Planning Commission?
If it changes to a non-residential use that
Non-resident.
requires conditional use approval, yeah.
Okay. And in this process, these customers did everything we asked them to do. They provided all the documents. They followed all our current policies and procedures, and the Planning Commission recommended 8-0 for this rezoning.
True.
Is that right? Okay, I thought I read that. All right, thank you.
Director Garcia?
They look at the technical requirements when the Planning Commission is reviewing, but no consideration is given to what the board goals are. Is that correct?
The future land use plan map is, and any adopted plan is considered, yes.
The adopted plan.
An adopted plan, yes.
So but we have a goal for housing, and we're in the process that you and your team are working with an updating code that we've received and accepted a report for them for that we haven't adopted everything into the code, but with quite a few changes to allow more smaller housing locations.
Yes, that is the direction from the board through its goal, and that is something that is high on the list as we look at the new code.
So does this help meet that goal? This action, does that help meet that goal, or put it at risk of losing a residential?
That's a question for the applicant. I don't know what
You
the
don't have
plan
an
is.
opinion then, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
that's where I'm torn, because to me, it appears this would be at risk of losing some residential. I'd rather see it go to R4 or one of our new ones to provide more, either, you know, through duplexes, triplex, fourplex, something for more house, for workforce.
And that would also be possible in the CTR zone district. It's very similar to R4
Right.
in that respect.
But not likely.
I don't know.
But CTR would allow STR.
It would.
Yeah. Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. Are we purviewed to know if anybody is currently living at this residence on Alpine?
It's,
Land.
Oh, just, okay.
no, it's a house.
No, it's got a
there's a
house.
house.
It's got a house too.
And
Yeah.
land.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
don't know if it's occupied or
No.
not.
It was
Okay.
a rental property.
There's,
Director Holliday?
There's somebody back who.
well, there's someone
Who wants to
that's
speak, I think.
contradicting and waving back
Did
there,
we
so I'm
have anybody
assuming they're
sign
the
up?
applicant.
No.
Maybe the applicant, yes.
Yeah. Any further questions of Ms. Selman? Thank you. Would the applicant like to come forward? You state your name, address, and district, please.
My name is Danny Blair. My address is 119 Alpine, which does have a resident on it, which I currently operate and have a business license for residential leasing business for my real estate brokerage. This very short part of Alpine has, you know, Capo's Tacos, then a very big parking lot, Crabtree parking lot, of which there's tremendous traffic on. Right across the street from this vacant lot, right next to my brokerage, that I purchased for $50,000. So, which at the Act Data Scout, and whenever I purchased it, it's listed as commercial. You can't go and buy a residential lot for .17 for 50 grand. So this is financially very important to me. But across the street from the vacant lot is a vacant parking lot. There's a church behind it. I have spent over $500,000 to clean up that street. I've improved two of the further houses at 125, 139, and 209 Alpine. 125 and 139 and 209 are all three active short-term rentals. And so there's one residential house on this very trafficked street before you get to Bell, and most of the residential houses. I'm all for building and providing those lower income. I'm a realtor, so the more houses we build, the more I can sell. And you know, I've worked really hard to help improve our city and bringing in investors and, you know, income to improve our neighborhoods. And especially this one, I've invested a lot of time and money into it. But this vacant lot would not be a very good house, and I'm planning on building onto my brokerage and using as parking lot at 119, of which we also have. So hope that all answers any of your questions, but 117 is just a vacant lot next to my office and where I currently reside at 119.
Director Garcia?
Did I understand you say you wanted 117 to be a parking lot?
Well, it is currently, I paid $50,000 for it, so the part of my future investments, now that I've completed updating those other houses, is to add on to the brokerage and utilize, you know, some of that lot for parking and expansion.
And the value on Act Data Scout is $70,000, and you paid $50,000.
I paid $50,000 for it, so but it was, you know, I'm still new in real estate, although I am one of your top agents in the city. I wasn't it wasn't brought to my attention that it was zoned residential, even though everything surrounding it was commercial. It just stated commercial. That's what I went with whenever I contacted the lady in Texas to purchase it. And, she accepted my offer, and it being that the city had it assessed at 75 at the time, I felt I was getting a fair market value on it. But without it being rezoned, I can't even get, the lending on just the land won't cover, I can't get a loan on it. So I'm kind of out. But I would appreciate an approval. But I very much agree with, we need more housing, but I don't think this is a place for it, just because of the amount of traffic. And I've had lots of theft and been working on security cameras and everything in that area to try to, help improve it. Any other questions?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Any discussion amongst the board?
I have a thought, if I may.
Director Holliday?
While I 100% agree with Director Garcia as far as our plans with housing, I also agree with the applicant. This particular piece of property is its own little island of R3 surrounded by commercial zoning, including mostly parking lots. I think we would be hard pressed to find a developer who wants to put a house there, but it's not our property to find a developer for. It is owned by somebody who has just said that they're looking to improve it. But I agree. I think that Alpine Street, especially up until that first house, is very much commercially active. It's a commercial area, and then commercial transitional does not disallow a future landowner of that property to put a multifamily on it. And that may make the most sense one day on that property. Also the adjacent vacant lots, but at the moment, I think holding out or quite frankly, almost punishing an applicant because we would prefer them to do something different, I don't think is appropriate in this case.
Any other comments amongst directors? Director Garcia?
I just want to clarify that I don't view it as punishment for an applicant when I look at zoning changes, but we have to look sometime, somewhere in, if we have a goal for our residential housing, if we continue to change that to commercial needs, when there is commercial properties, we'll never meet that goal. So as we look for adopting changes in our code, I hope that we can keep that in mind of how we can look at those improvements or changes to help increase housing, such as the smaller tiny homes that are being built. I'm anxious to see them on Beard Street, and we also have an upcoming open house coming up fairly soon about nonprofit and company that are want to do more here in Hot Springs.
Yeah, I think we've had good discussion. What caught my eye was the lot is surrounded on all sides by C4 or CTR zoning. We've all seen neighborhoods change over time, become where residential moved out and commercials moved in. Hobson Avenue from Central to Jones School. You've seen that, and you've seen on 3rd Street. You've seen some activity from Greenwood up or north on 3rd Street. Grand Avenue, West Grand, in the area of
Lanyap.
Well, yeah, your area all the way to Sumner Street, and those have been those businesses preserve structures rather than having them deteriorate and become vacant lots or burned out structures. So there is a balance, and we do understand the need for workforce housing, but in this case, having this one property rezoned so it's consistent with others would be I think a good move here for this property. Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to follow that up by saying I do appreciate this applicant's desire to clean this particular area of Alpine up. I did hear her mention something about theft being an issue here, and her desire to clean this area up may actually help in a reduction of that particular issue of theft. And like the mayor was pointing out, in all other close vicinity areas of property nearby this lot at 117 Alpine, they all are in that commercial range. So I want to see us look for appropriate land in the future that does meet our goals in terms of housing as well. I'm just not so sure that this is the right spot to do that with, but thank you.
Okay. Any further comments from directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Garcia.
No.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. We'll move on to ordinance O-24-04, and I'll entertain a motion and second to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Director Trustee,
Second.
seconded by Director Garcia. Please read by title.
Ordinance O-24-04, an ordinance approving PD Plan Development Zone District and Site Plan for approximately 0.14 acre generally located at 422 Beard Street and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion and second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Dobbs Smith, second Director Trustee, and Director of Planning and Development Director, Ms. Kathy Selman, will again give us a report.
Thank you. The applicant and property owner is Mr. Lance Levy of RRL LLC, and he is requesting plan development zoning and site plan approval to create 2 reduced size lots for single-family residential development. Subject property is approximately 0.14 acres and is currently zoned R4, medium high-density residential. Property has a future land use plan map designation of residential medium high and is located in Board of Directors District Number 3. The proposed development would occupy the entire site and would create 2 lots for 2 homes to be built, 1 on each lot. These would be small 1-bedroom, 1-bath homes. The site is bordered on all sides by property zoned R4, medium high density residential. To the west is Beard Street and to the north is Garland Avenue. Garland Avenue will provide the ingress and egress, and there is an existing pedestrian sidewalk along the front of the development. The planned development zone, as you know, is both a way to identify the uses which will be allowed on a property, and also has a specific site plan that details exactly how the site will be developed. The narrative provided by the applicant identifies the use of infill to be more productive and flexible for economical housing needs with this plan development as proposed. It is not likely to generate a significant traffic impact with 2 homes being built, and the proposed 2-lot, 2-home development will be compatible with existing surrounding land uses. The future land use plan map designation for the subject property is residential medium high, and this is compatible with the proposed use on the PD. So the request is compatible with that designation. And Hot Springs 2040 Comprehensive Plan Neighborhood Goals number 3, to enhance the desirability of in-town neighborhood living, and goal number 4, to accelerate home building in near-town and in-town neighborhoods. Additionally, the proposal seeks to implement the city's recent housing strategy by proposing new homes in an established neighborhood. And the development is designed in such a way as not to endanger the public health, welfare, or safety, nor shall it substantially diminish or impair property values in the neighborhood. The finding to Planning Commission was that the site plan and the other materials submitted with conditions comply with the requirements of Hot Springs Code Section 16247 and other Hot Springs codes applicable to the review, subject to compliance with 6 conditions of approval. And those conditions are listed out in your board report. Planning Commission, at their duly advertised December 14th meeting, called for testimony and considered the record, then voting 8-0 to recommend the Board of Directors adopt an ordinance amending the zoning map for 422 Beard Street, designating the subject property residential PD plan development because the requested change meets the standards required by Hot Springs Code, Section 16247E. The change helps to implement an approved city plan and the 2023 housing strategy, and it is compatible with surrounding development and zoning with the 6 conditions recommended by Planning Commission. And that completes the presentation.
Any questions of Ms. Selman? Director Garcia?
Yes, ma'am. If this is approved, and since this includes the site plan, would the applicant be able to begin immediately?
He will need to divide the land into 2 lots as he proposed, and that could be done concurrent with building permit review.
I think that this very much supports our goals, and I was very happy to see what this applicant, and hopefully that we can see more of this.
Yes, this is a super project.
Yes.
By an experienced applicant who has produced homes in this price range in the past, and they've been very well received.
Thank you very much.
Any further questions of Ms. Selman? Hearing none, do we have anybody who's signed up?
No, sir.
No one has signed up to speak on this. Any discussion from directors, amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Webb.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. All right, we'll move on to ordinance number 0-24-05, and I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules and
So moved.
read by title only. Director Garcia, seconded by Director Trustee. All in favor of the motion and second to suspend the rules, read by title only, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Please read by title.
Ordinance O-24-05, an ordinance amending the zoning map to C3 Office Neighborhood Commercial Zone District for approximately 0.51 acre generally located at 1103 Higdon Ferry Road and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Trustee, seconded by
Second.
Director Dobbs Smith. And again, Director of Planning and Development, Ms. Kathy Selman.
Thank you. The applicant is Mr. Jonathan Martin, representing the property owners K. Marie Bowles Hearn and Nathaniel Lee Hearn. And this is a request for C3 Office Neighborhood Commercial District zoning at 1103 Higdon Ferry Road. It has a future land use plan map classification of residential medium high. It's located in Board of Directors District Number 5. At this time, it has a 1,772 square foot single-family residential structure built around 1958. There's 133 feet of street frontage on Higdon Ferry Road, which is also known as Arkansas Highway 88. This portion of Higdon Ferry Road has been widened to 5 lanes with commercial sidewalks and bike lanes on each side. Hot Springs Code tells us that the C3 zone district exists to allow limited commercial along with office development in proximity to residential areas. Nearby land uses are office, single-family residential, funeral home, convenience store with pumps, hospital, shopping center, hotel, and vacant land. Because of the significant change to Higdon Ferry Road, going to the 5-lane configuration with bike lane and sidewalk. This zone change responds to that significant change in surrounding physical, economic, land use, and other conditions. The widening of Higdon Ferry in 2017 set the stage for significant physical and economic changes to land along the corridor. The project also included construction and installation of those sidewalks and bike lanes, which now provide multimodal forms of transportation. The property's future land use plan map classification of residential medium high is not compatible with the requested C3 zoning. Adjacent and nearby C3 zoning have future land use designations of linear commercial corridor, and the suggestion would be to change the future land use plan map accordingly for this lot as well. Planning Commission at their duly advertised and scheduled December 14, 2023 meeting called for testimony and considered the record and voted 8-0 to recommend that the Board of Directors adopt an ordinance to amend the zoning map by designating the subject property C3 Office Neighborhood Commercial because the change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development and zoning, responds to a significant change in the surrounding physical, economic, land use, and other conditions, and to amend the future land use plan map by designating the subject property linear commercial corridor consistent with nearby C3 zoned properties future land use plan map designations. And that concludes the presentation.
Any questions for Ms. Selman? Director Garcia.
I believe that since the widening of Higdon Ferry, this is from there all the way down Higdon Ferry to Central, this is the only house that's left. There was one nearby that's already been torn down. The gas station's gone in there, and everything on the south end that had houses are now gone. At the time that the Higdon Ferry was planned to be widened, this was anticipated that this would become a commercial corridor and would require this. I did check in the area, and I didn't find any others till you get up to where the Higdon Ferry apartments
Yes.
are, which is quite a ways. And the only nearby residential is a rental property on the side street going back behind, and they had no opposition.
Right, there was no opposition at the meeting. Planning
Yeah, so
Commission's
the only residential that I could find the closest, but none on Higdon Ferry. So this ties into what was forecasted and what's been happening there and will continue to happen. There's some projects, as soon as the interest rates fall, I think we'll see a lot more projects come to you. But that was my understanding, and I wanted to make sure that
Yes.
that was correct. Thank you.
Any additional questions of Ms. Selman? Okay. Do we have anybody sign up to speak?
No, sir.
Very good. Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Garcia.
Aye.
Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. Our final action item of the evening is to consider ordinance O-24-06. And I'll entertain a motion and a second to suspend the rules and read by title.
So moved.
Director Trustee,
Second.
seconded by Director Webb. All in favor of the motion and second to read by title only, signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Council, please read by title.
Ordinance O-24-06, an ordinance amending the zoning map to C4 Regional Commercial Zone District for 2.864 acres, generally located at 155 Harvest Lane, and for other purposes. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Director Dobbs Smith, seconded by Director Webb. And back for final visit is Director of Planning and Development, Kathy Selman.
Thank you. The applicant on this item is Mr. Ricardo Chambers with CISO Incorporated, representing property owner Howe Family Revocable Trust, and he is requesting C4 Regional Commercial Open Display District zoning for the 2.864 acres of land at 155 Harvest Lane. Currently, it is zoned C2 General Business, has a future land use classification of linear commercial corridor. It's located in Board of Directors District Number 5. It is located directly behind and east of 3315 Central Avenue, which is the previous location of a Harvest Food Store. Multiple semi-trailers and other materials are currently being stored on the property. It does have a physical connection with Harvest Lane, which intersects with the south side of the 100 block of Golf Links Road right across from Oaklawn Racing Casino Resort. Adjacent and nearby land uses are racetrack and casino, shopping center, restaurant, retail, office, grocery, fitness center, convenience store with gas pumps, and automotive service repair. The requested C4 zone district is consistent with adjacent properties to the north that are zoned C4 at this time. Subject property is surrounded by commercial zoning and contains a variety of commercial land uses. Other commercial developments in the area include shopping center, movie theater, grocery store, dental office, financial institution, and so forth. That is a very heavily commercial area. The applicant did submit a trip generation memo looking at uses that could be allowed by the C4 zoning, and that memo was reviewed by City Engineer Gary Carnahan, who concurred that their proposed plan and memo was accurate, looking that the traffic generated by the proposed facility would be no more than the traffic generated by the previous use, and also that any traffic issues could be minimized by controlling arrival and departure times. And the applicant has carefully separated the types of traffic into 3 different driveway access points so that there are no conflicts between the types of traffic, and would schedule so that there would be no trucks that would operate during peak traffic hours. Planning Commission heard this item on January 11th, 2024, and they voted 9-0 to find that the requirements of Hot Springs Code for amending the zoning map to C4 have been met, and that the change demonstrates compatibility with surrounding development, surrounding zoning, and with the future land use plan map, which does support the C4 zone district request. So the recommendation from Planning Commission is for approval of this item. And I believe Mr. Chambers is with us via Zoom, and that concludes my presentation.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions of Ms. Selman by the board members? Hearing none, did we have anybody sign up to speak on this?
No, sir.
Mr. Chambers, you are on Zoom. While you didn't sign up, and we certainly appreciate your participation via Zoom, I'm not
thank
sure
you.
we have any questions, but go ahead.
No, certainly really appreciate the flexibility given the recent weather challenges we are facing across the country. So all to say, we appreciate the opportunity to be considered tonight. And if you have any questions, I'm here. But I think Ms. Selman very well articulated what our request is.
Very good. Directors, any questions of Mr. Chambers? Hearing none, Any discussion amongst directors? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Director Trustee.
Aye.
Holliday.
Aye.
Beard.
Aye.
Dobbs Smith.
Aye.
Webb.
Aye.
Garcia.
Aye.
Mayor McCabe.
Aye. Ordinance is adopted. This concludes the action items for this evening. We'll move to Board of Directors items for discussion. Any director? Director Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to ask a question. I should have asked after the city manager report, but with this 8 million, I mean, this is phenomenal for paving. We've never had. Will these new agreements have timelines or deadlines included in them?
Yeah, that's what I mentioned. We're going to put some dates in this next RFP to make sure we get these taken care of,
And so
in
we won't be at the
2024.
end of the line for all the projects? Okay.
Yeah. And we
I
could
wanted to
still
make
be,
sure.
they'll place us in their queue, but our goal is to make sure that the entire amount that we budgeted in 2024 gets completed in 2024.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other director items for discussion? Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to give a big thanks to our street department for the city of Hot Springs for the work that took place. And I do recall our city manager, Bill Burrow, making this shout out himself with the city manager's report to give a big thanks to those who took time away from their families, in some cases to stay overnight at city just to be on call for whatever emergencies did arise. But, for what we encountered this past week due to the weather, the snow and the ice that fell upon us all of last week, it does seem like the roads, at least the main roads and the arterials, were cleared in relatively quick time, enough so to allow for emergency vehicles to get to and from the hospital, for any medical emergencies. And I happen to be one myself that experienced a busted pipe, and I reached out for help by our city, and within literally 5 to 10 minutes there was somebody at my home to help me, get the issue not resolved, but at least identified so that I could call in who I needed to make repairs to keep my home safe moving forward. So I appreciate our city's street department and those that work for the water department as well for being on call and helping all of our citizens and residents of Hot Springs get through this past week. Thank you, Mayor.
I'm going to make a comment. I know that we try to plan in any number of ways, and we've talked about our community resource center and shelter, and we as we move forward in that project. I went down to First United Methodist Church Family Center and delivered some product that was donated by a business here in town. And it's quite a sight to see a large gymnasium with, I don't know how many cots were there. I mean, it was there was only maybe 2 or 3 feet of separation between cots that were in a line, and then you might have had 4 feet or 5 feet of separation between the rows. And every cot had a human there, and a number of dogs. I went and spoke with Sally Carter and a number of the other volunteers that were there, and she gave me a tour of their resources that they had available, their water, bottled water, the food items, their whole process of accepting an individual who presented to the warming shelter to spend the night, how they the individual is provided clean clothing, following they shower, provide clean clothing, their other clothes are bagged, and they're fed, and it's a process, and it's very much a needed service. I know they were running short on volunteers. You know, you can do something for 2 or 3 days, but when it extends to a week or so, you know, the people you count on need to have rest, and you need others to support. Law enforcement, they were very appreciative of law enforcement because they were pretty much they would swing by every hour just to check and make sure all was fine. You know, dogs and cats were being serviced as well. So I think that whole group, that whole program was very well received by individuals who really needed help during this cold weather. And so as we move forward in that, you know, having eyes on in that situation rather than just reading about it in the newspaper or seeing something on Facebook, it's very, very telling, you know, and so as we move forward, you know, those are images in my mind that will remain, and those are good images that we're out seeking, and we're out helping people and providing that shelter. And then when I saw people not there at 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm going, boy, I hope they realize that that's available. And then again, for the utility department, I know that our temperatures did not drop like they quite as low as they did a couple years ago, where we were at 1 degree or 1 below or 1 above, and we had 3,000 residential water lines burst at homes. And we had, how many did you say? 100?
110.
110. So, you know, we're appreciative that perhaps, you know, some of our residents were able to take extra precautions. Maybe Director Webb, not so, but we understand. And but it's good. We drained, you know, 2 years ago we drained it. We were within 6 hours, you said, of running out of water and going to a boil order.
Yep.
And if we were all watching the news this past week, and we had small towns throughout Arkansas that had lost water supply capability. So
Memphis.
Memphis. Okay.
The small town.
Listening to news reports for some of the smaller towns in north central Arkansas were losing water. So always appreciative of our staff, and you know, as we continue to build out our water system and improve it, we'll be that much in a better position. So it's always amazing what you guys can do moving water to different parts of town.
It's amazing.
Director Webb?
Thank you, Mayor. There was just one question that popped in to my head, because I'm looking at the date here being the 23rd, and this was the final day to get applications in to be considered on the Planning Commission board. Do we have any update as to if any applicants the Housing Authority, excuse me, not the Planning Commission, the Housing Authority. Thank you, Ms. Harmony. Do we have any applicants who put in for it?
Yes.
Can they be shared now, or does that have to wait?
We're going to be compiling the packet, and there will be a packet available to you on Thursday so that you can review those before next week's special called meeting.
Okay.
Where you'll do your interviews. I have not had a chance to look. I was a little short-handed today, but last I looked this morning, there were 7 applicants. There could be another 1 or 2 received. So we'll be getting those to you, and that'll be published on Thursday.
Thank you.
All right. Any final comment? Director Garcia?
If there's nothing else, I move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Director Webb seconded it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Thank you.